Thanks a lot for coming in.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Something about this community appeals to you?
This is a wonderful place to live.
For Kelowna Now, this is Kent Mulgat.
And we're joined by Ellen Walker-Matthews, the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association's Vice President of Development and Destination...
Industry and Destination Development.
I blew it, but okay.
That's okay. It's a big title. It's a big,
You should work on shortening that. But it's so good to have you. The reason I contacted you first is I saw there was some discussion about just how much all that smoke affected tourism businesses, and it was a real kick in the pants for a lot of tourism businesses, wasn't it?
It was, Kent. It was a tough summer, a tough August for sure. We started off with really hoping that it would be different than the year prior, and then we really didn't see that much in the wildfire activity. I had some around us for sure, but it was the smoke that really came in August.
Right. So how many cancellations?
Well, it depends on where you were in the region. So we look after everything from Valemount to Osoyoos and basically Manning Park over to Christina Lake, and everybody experienced some different things. Our boundary country, Christina Lake, Grand Forks, Rock Creek, they really started off the season with the flooding, which was really tough, and they're still dealing with the aftermath of some of that. But it's beautiful there, and I always like to say all our tourism operators are resilient, and they all came back to the forefront, really pushing fall and all the activities in the fall. So that really helped things.
Right. You can't make the smoke go away. Is there anything that you can do to be better prepared?
I think there's a number of things, and we're trying to do those now. We're certainly talking to government a lot about what the real issue on the ground is for us and wildfire management practices. Obviously we're in tourism, we're not the experts in what that should be, but having the conversation with government and making sure that they understand how it's affecting our economy. This is our number one industry in the Thompson Okanagan, and when we have those problems, they really affect all of our people, our residents and our business operators, our entrepreneurs. So having a conversation, and we're seeing some of the results of that. There is a lot of dialogue and actual activity around changing wildfire management practices.
Right.
And we're hoping that will be promoted too, so people know that we're not just saying it, but it's actually happening. And then trying to expand what our product offering is outside of just that summer sun and fun. We're trying to, and have been working on strategies around that for the last 6 or 8 years.
Right. It's amazing how short that is, right? That summer fun period is about 45 days.
It is. And our industries had to deal with rainy summers or cold summers. It's not just smoke. So you really have to try and grow what your offering is outside of that 45 days, because that's not sustainable for any business. They really need to be able to have an offering for the fall and an offering for the spring that can help them make sure they can get through those difficult days in the summer if they happen.
I know I've got some experience in the wine industry, and it is amazing. Right when the cellars are getting active, the weather's cooled down a little bit, there's harvesting going on, the grapes are being crushed. It's a great time to visit a winery right around the time when everyone goes, wine touring, that's done for the year.
Yeah.
So there's a change of mindset needed there, I think.
Absolutely, and definitely identified in our 10-year regional strategy. Something that we're actively working on is promoting that fall season and the spring season too, for blossoms and all the activity before you're busy in the winery, so that people can come and meet the winemaker and have maybe a more casual dinner or conversation. And,
right.
And certainly the BC Wine Institute is working on that as well.
And so, we're geared up with the facilities to take that peak number of tourists during those 45 days. But there's lots of room on those shoulder seasons. And you were talking about other things like, outdoor activities and things that are great in the spring and the autumn as well.
We're a fantastic outdoor adventure region, right from the top of us to from the top at Mount Robson all the way to Osoyoos. We've got incredible experiences, whether they're the Kettle Valley Rail Trail or the new Okanagan Rail Trail, trails in the Shuswap, climbing. We've got amazing climbing in Skaha Bluffs, and now bouldering is becoming a very big activity. So there's all kinds of outdoor experiences that really do lend themselves much better to cooler temperatures, and that fall or spring is when those people want to come to the region and experience that. And they go really well with wine touring too.
Right, okay. And another area that you sounded quite excited about prior to our interview here is the Indigenous tourism area. We see it happening in pockets, but there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, so we were very fortunate. 2.5 years ago, we hired an Indigenous tourism specialist in a joint partnership with Indigenous Tourism BC. Greg Hoff works in our office here in Kelowna, but he deals with all of the 33 communities, Indigenous communities in the region, really talking to them about what is their opportunity for tourism? Are they interested in being in tourism? And if so, how can we help move them forward with that? Because the interior Salish have an incredible story to tell, much different than the one of the coastal First Nations. So many people don't understand that those are very different experiences. The food was different, the animals were different, how they lived was different. And so bringing that authentic story to the forefront if the communities are interested in getting into tourism.
And when you look down at the South Okanagan, there's some amazing stuff down there where that opportunity has been truly realized.
Absolutely. The Saurischian Indian Band certainly led the way with Chief Louis, seeing that opportunity for his band members to really be employed and enjoy the economy of tourism. And he's been able to spread that message really across Canada to many Indigenous communities. But we're seeing that happen in West Bank for sure, and in the Shuswap. A lot of the work that's gone in with the Indigenous communities there is fantastic. And I know Penticton Indian Band is also looking at doing a number of things as well. So it's an opportunity, I think, for reconciliation in a different way that really says this is the story and the history, and we want to understand it from the grassroots up.
Maybe it's never going to happen here, but we were talking before about certain parts of the world, like Iceland, and
Barcelona.
I guess Barcelona, where they've succeeded so much in getting the word out that they're a fantastic place to visit, that they're just overwhelmed, and actually now the visitors are just getting in each other's way.
It's true, and we got very active in the whole area of sustainable tourism. Last year, the region was certified by Biosphere International as a sustainable tourism destination. And what that really means is that we're committed to the 17 UN WTO goals for sustainability, which cover everything from economic, social, and environmental issues. It's not just about the environment, it's about the holistic approach to sustainability. That's something that's ongoing. It's just a first step to be certified. We have to keep working on it, working with our stakeholders and growing that sustainable product so that we don't end up in that place where Barcelona finds itself, where
Right.
Iceland finds itself, where there's too many tourists. And the residents are not enjoying the benefits of tourism because they're getting pushed out of their own activities. And we don't have that.
Right.
But it happens faster than one thinks if you're not preparing for it.
Well, I mean, we do see traffic, right? The Highway 97 corridor is a little bit, I mean, there isn't really a lot of options there, but on the plus side, this part of the province, it's geographically large, and there's so many different places to disperse a large number of visitors.
That's so true, and one of our efforts has been in the area of dispersion. So as we go forward, if we do start to understand what those carrying capacities are, and right now it's just education and understanding. We're by no means in a position to be able to say, A, we have over-tourism, and B, what we would do with it. But we're talking about it so that we're looking at where are we at in 2030 and 2040 to make sure some of those things don't just surprise us the way they have in other communities in the world.
Right. One thing I was interested in learning from you earlier was that, during that time when we actually had health alerts going out about the smoke, that some visitors who had already paid for their tickets could actually be diverted to a place so that some other part of the overall tourism family gets to enjoy the visitors, and the visitors get to enjoy their trip to BC.
Yeah, exactly. Destination BC, who's very close to many of our international tour operators, has strong ties in all the major countries that come to British Columbia, were able to make changes for visitors' plans so that they could find themselves in somewhere that was a little bit less smoky or not smoky at all.
Right.
We want them to go away and have enjoyed their experience in Canada, not
Right.
go away and say negative things about it.
So even if their original destination loses out on that trip, they're probably better off anyway, because you don't want someone coming, I spent 10 days in Kelowna and I had to stay inside the whole time. If instead they went to Vancouver Island and had a great story to tell, that's better for everybody.
And they'll come back. So we want to make sure we tell them the truth, we give them the best experience we can, and if we need to move them around, we move them around.
So it seems like the whole community benefits if we have a healthy, tourism business. What can, people who have relatives who visit now and then, what can they do to contribute to the different sort of image for tourism that you're putting out?
I think one of the things we started using last year, and I'll nod to Penticton, Travel Penticton, because they started it, was a hashtag Realtime, to make sure that the actual facts of what was happening on the ground were communicated in photography, through the internet, through social media. So when we have those beautiful days and we don't have smoky skies and we aren't dealing with fire, we want to make sure that message is out there to people. And
Right.
using the hashtag Realtime will get that message out. It's always great to show the spectacular, dramatic pictures of things that are not good,
Right.
but those tend to stay longer in media. So we need to
Yeah.
combat them with what's really happening at the moment.
So what do you do when there's, like, flooding is a perfect example, even more than the smoke. It's so localized to a certain few spots, and of course there'll be lots of pictures taken of that, and someone might be left with the impression that the entire region is under 8 inches of water, when really it was just that little area, a couple of houses or something.
It's so true. I mean, and you're in media, so we're working with media constantly to make sure that the messaging is again authentic and accurate, that where there's high water and people need to be evacuated, absolutely that story needs to be out there. But there are images of people, pretending that they're going to be paddling down
Right.
the road, which is not accurate. And we have to take those images away from people and understand it isn't really high water the way they see it, or flooding the way they see it in perhaps California. It's high
Yeah.
water.
I mean, it just seems to me that in the story about the flooding, you pretty much can't win there, but maybe at the same time there needs to be a parallel messaging going out that, hey, you've probably seen some flooding, but look at this.
But look at what's happening over here. So
Yeah.
true. We've seen that as well with things like Highway 97 is closed in both directions. Those are the messages that go out. Well, Highway 97 is like the Trans-Canada.
Yeah.
Where is it closed in both directions?
Yeah, you-
Because it's not closed from Summerland to Kelowna,
Right.
So it's really making sure the accuracy of the messaging gets out there.
Right. Well, we're always open to any suggestions you've got. Thanks very much for coming in, Ellen.
Thank you, Kent. Really nice to be here, and
Yeah.
I love your new offices.
Yeah, aren't they great?
They're
This,
fantastic.
by the way, is the first ever interview in our new space. Seems pretty nice.
I'll be back
Right.
if you'll have me.
All right, for sure. And thanks for watching Kelowna Now.